Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I feel like it's been forever since I came on camera because it has literally been forever. It has been almost 2 weeks since I have filmed a video for y'all. I was at church camp all last week. I honestly went like 10 days without wearing makeup at all. But I came home to lots of fun packages of new makeup and I wanted to sit down and try it out with y'all. So most of this stuff I have tried already and not every category is going to be new. But let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to start with the complexion and I have on my Beauty of Joseon sunscreen for y'all today because I wanted to make sure I did not have any kind of tint on my face before I used the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer for y'all so you could see exactly how much coverage this has. I honestly ordered this product when it launched, not even really understanding what it was, just to try it out because it looked promising. So this is a 3-in-1 tinted complexion balm that warms and nourishes with sheer coverage to even out the appearance of skin tone. So it is a sheer to light coverage. It is a cream and it does have a radiant finish. Now I do have a little bit of my Clinique Airbrush concealer on as a corrector, but that's it. So I wore this yesterday and I put it to the test in extreme heat. And when I say extreme heat, our heat indexes have been in the 100s the past few days and will continue to be as far as the 7 to 10 day forecast is telling me. So exciting, I know. I worked out. I put it to the test. So I'll tell y'all those thoughts later. But this is the shade Light, which kind of looks a little dark for light. But once you realize how sheer the coverage is, it ends up working. So I'm just going to take my IT Cosmetics number 115 brush and I'm going to really work the product into the brush. I have not tried this with a sponge. I just feel like this is something that's going to be better with a brush. And then I am just going to stipple it in. So another reason that I wanted to wear a non-tinted sunscreen today is because I wanted you to be able to see the color as it's applied. And you can see this is just my skincare and sunscreen. This is the balm. Definitely radiant. I feel like I have been testing out a lot of products lately that have a radiant finish, but I feel like that's basically what's being launched. It's like the season of sheer coverage and luminous finish. And I had some people comment that, they just can't do luminous because they have oily skin, which I totally understand. But I just feel like not many matte things are being launched right now. And this is definitely on the radiant side. Now, I have only tried it with tinted sunscreens up until today. So I'm seeing the stark contrast to my face skin to this color. It definitely is still not something that I would classify as light. I do think it runs a little dark. This does come in 6 shades. Unfortunately, this is the lightest shade. So if you have like super fair skin, I just don't know that this is gonna work for you, as you can see. But this is all over. It is a sheer coverage, but I think you can see it did cover up my redness pretty well. Like I was thinking maybe I would need to go in with an extra concealer, but I don't think once it's said and done, I'm gonna need to put anything else on my cheeks. I appreciate this kind of coverage. It's really the type that I tend to go for, especially in the summer, but it is very luminous. Now, the powder that I'm gonna use definitely takes that down some, but before we do that, I'm going to use some concealer. I don't have any new concealer, y'all. I have just found like a solid top 5, and that's gonna be in the next week or 2 that I post that video because it's so solid that I just don't feel like I need to look for anything better. I've just found such good ones. This is the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear. I haven't used this on camera in a while, so I thought that I would pull that out. And this is in the shade 260, which is the same shade I wear in the Teint Idole foundation. And I'm just going to buff that in. Now, if I want to bring it down a little bit, whatever's left on the brush, I can, just on the cheek area where I tend to get the most red. But again, I was okay with the amount of coverage the balm provided. It's not marketing itself as a foundation. It's a complexion balm, which whatever that means, honestly, in the world of marketing, but it's not a foundation. So let's talk about cream blush. I was sent the 3 new Dream Stick blushes from Persona. I love their Dream Stick highlight. I love their Dream Stick bronzer. And I was so excited to see these being launched. So there is Bubble, which is a bright pink shade. There is Kiss, which is more of a reddish shade. And there is Teddy, which is definitely the most neutral out of all of the shades. Now these are multi-sticks, so they can be used on the lips, the cheeks, possibly even the eyes, but I would probably stick to mostly lips and cheeks. Depending on your skin tone, you could actually wear Teddy as a cream bronzer as well. I do find it to be different than the other cream bronzers they have in their line, so if you're more fair and have found that you can't use those colors, then I would definitely check out Teddy. But I'm gonna use Bubble today because this is just intriguing to me. So what I'm gonna do first, because I've never used these, and it's such a bright, happy color, is I'm going to kind of paint some on my hand and pick it up with a brush from there and then apply it. And then if I feel like, oh, it's not as scary as I thought it was gonna be, which I'm kind of feeling like that, then I might actually go into the, not might actually, I'm doing it. I'm going into the bullet with the brush and then applying. Oh, yeah. This reminds me, if you like Dainty, the, what's the name of that with the kind of blush from MAC? If you like that shade, you're gonna really love this. This is like a bubblegum princess pink. And the good thing about cream blushes is if you feel like, hey, maybe I want a little too much, which I don't know how it's coming across on camera, I'm just gonna take that same brush that I put the balm on with and kind of dial it down a little bit. I actually really like that. And we're gonna be using more of like a cool tone palette on the eyes. So I think that pink is actually gonna work well. Now, I haven't tried these blush sticks, so I don't know how well they're gonna work under powder. So let's see. I was actually gonna let all this sink in, but it's just the dew. I can't. I feel like I'm blinding y'all with the dew. So we're gonna set it down. And this is not new. In fact, you're gonna see how well loved it is. This is my Airbrush Corn Translucent Powder. Can you tell? It's just my favorite lately. There was a sale at a place that I had never bought from before called Pharmaca.com. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of it, but they had like a 30% off sale. So I bought 2 backups of this because I just love it so much. And this is what I wore with the balm yesterday. So I'm just going to lightly, and I can still see that blush. Okay, hopefully you can on the camera, but I think that's good that it shows through like that. You can still see some of that dew coming through, but it's definitely not as crazy strong as it was. I feel like if you're someone who doesn't like to powder, this balm might be something that transfers a little too much for your liking. There are definitely other dewy things like the Say slip cover that I used in a couple of videos ago, the Beauty Counter. Those are also very dewy, but I don't feel like they would transfer as much without powder as this one. Now let's go into bronzer. I have a couple of new bronzers. I'll show you these from Osmosis, which I will use in a different video, but these are the brand new bronzer duos from Osmosis. So this is Miami. This is the lighter of the 2 shades. So it's got more of like a cool tone and a warm tone. I have been just mixing them together. And then this one is Maui, which is definitely the darker of the 2. I have used both of them as eyeshadows and love them so much that way. So those are 2 new ones, but I think the one that I'm gonna use today is this Sculpt Transforming Skin Perfector from Makeup by Mario, which I purchased the same time as I got the balm. And this is in light medium. This comes in 5 shades, and this is a 3-in-1 powder to perfect, illuminate, and set makeup for a radiant glow with an airbrush effect. I've seen videos where Mario will show this as mixing all of the shades together and setting. That would be way too luminous, in my opinion, because this bottom shade is like a straight up highlight. I used it as basically a separate bronzer and highlight. The only bad thing about that is because of how the pan is set up, you have to use a smaller brush to get the bronzer. So I'm gonna use this Sephora blush brush and really just kind of try to get into that bronzer shade as much as possible. This middle shade is more of like a gold. It's still got shimmer in it. So like there's gonna be a little bit of a highlight in my bronzer. So this is, well, even though the bronzer section is matte, I would not buy this thinking you're going to be able to apply a straight up matte bronzer, only because of how it mixes with those other shades. It's just kind of inevitable. Unless you use an eyeshadow brush, which I don't know anybody that bronzes with an eyeshadow brush. But if you do and it works, definitely let me know. So these products are not for someone who likes matte. I'm going to say that right now. Definitely have to appreciate a glowy finish on the skin. I do like that this bronzer is not super dark. I find that it is more in line with the description of a light medium skin tone than the skin enhancer is for a light. Like, I still think that's way too dark, but this one is definitely appropriate for a light to medium skin tone. And they do have one shade lighter than this. And then I'm going to go into this lighter shade up top and use that as a highlight. I will say this is, even though you can see it's picking up the light, it's not as shimmery or glittery as some other highlights that I've tried in the past for sure. So if you are someone who just really does appreciate a super glowy look, you could use this as a setting powder, all swirled together. It's just not something I envision myself doing. I can still see some pink from my blush, so let's move on to the eyes. I purchased a very large haul. I had like $260 something in points at Ulta, so I purchased quite a few products, and this was on the new section the day that I spent all those points. This is the new Lorac Unzipped palette, and I think it's got like a special name. A more shimmer and matte shadow palette. So this is definitely more cool toned in nature. It's got like some burgundies and some light pinks, some more terracotta browns, purples, pinks, and it is a mixture. It is actually an even mixture of 6 mattes and 6 shimmer. Now, I used this yesterday. It is definitely a very subtle palette as far as the mattes are concerned. So I'm going to go into Undivided, which is this very light matte shade. And I thought that this would actually show up more than it did. So I'm basically using this as a true transition shade for the next shade to kind of catch onto and blend better, because it barely makes a shadow on my eye. So this being the first shade that I used, I was a little like, how is this gonna work out? Like, I can see a shadow, but I really have to look. So then I'm going to go into Unfaltering, which is this shade right here, which originally when I looked in, the palette and just looked at it, I thought it would be a little too dark for what I typically like to put in the crease, but it works. So you can see kind of a little bit of a theme. The pigmentation is not what I'm used to when it comes to Lorac shadows. I really have always loved their Pro palettes. I have had their other Unzipped palettes in my collection, and I will say the pigmentation on those is way more than this. So I don't know if the formulation has changed or if it's just the shades in general. However, I also know that there are a lot of people who appreciate something that's not super pigmented. So this might be up your alley if you are that person. I'm going to take a little bit of my Beauty Counter Aura Cream Shadow, which I basically keep out on my vanity at all times because I just use this under almost every lid shade. There's just something about it that makes the shades pop, gives them a nice base to kind of grip onto. So if I'm putting any kind of shimmer on my eye, this typically goes underneath. Now I'm going to take this Unchained right here, and I'm going to use my finger to pop that onto the lid. So there's nothing wrong with this shade. Again, I'm thinking about the Unzipped Gold palette, which if anybody ever had that in their collection, they know those shimmer shades were like, boom, in your face. Like I would have been able to pat just a small layer on and it would have been more than enough. This I am finding can handle being built up. I haven't used the other shimmer shade yet, so I can't speak to that, but from the swatches, I kind of feel like they're going to be the same way. And then I'm going to go into Uncommon, which is right here, which when I first opened it was my favorite matte shade. Just looking at it, Again, do you see this? It's just, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not what I expected when I looked at the shade in the palette. Very soft translation on the eye. And then I'm gonna go, yesterday I used this Unparalleled shade, this one right here, this super burgundy pinkish shade as an eyeliner. And typically I like to do that, but it didn't look the best. It kind of made my eyes look a little sick. So I'm going to pop into another palette, which I was gonna show y'all, but I just realized it's not being released until tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. But I'm gonna use that because I do just feel like this look needs a little bit of an eyeliner to make it pop. And this is clearly not lacking in pigmentation. And then finally, I'm just gonna take this Uncommon shade, which is that second crease shade, and use that for underneath the eye. You don't have to do this step, but I choose to. I got told that doing this made me look tired in one of my videos, and it never ceases to amaze me. Like, maybe it's just because I was raised in the 80s, but like my mama always said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. It brings no joy to anybody to read negative comments, so just don't write them. I will never understand. It doesn't faze me any because I could care less. Obviously, I'm still gonna do this whether you think it makes me look tired or not, but I just will never understand. Okay, now I'm gonna curl my lashes and get ready for mascara. I did not purchase a new mascara, but with that Ulta order that I placed, I typically like to wait until there's either some kind of 20% off sale to use my points, which they just don't do those anymore. I don't understand why. Or if they have like a super good gift with purchase, and they had like a huge bag gift with purchase with like $175 order. And this MAC Stack Mascara was in this. And I know it went viral and everybody raved about it, but I had never tried it and I didn't purchase it, but I'm glad it was in there. I'm going to try it today. I can't decide whether I want to use my normal primer. I think I'm not. I think I'm just going to use this. It's a very spiky brush. It kind of scares me a little bit, but we shall see if this lives up to all the hype. Okay, so that is with 2 coats. It's not bad. The brush really does separate. It wasn't as spiky, or some of those can almost be painful. I still appreciate like a more natural bristle brush than the plastic ones, but it's not bad. We shall see how it wears throughout the day. Now, I don't have any new lip products, and it's, I was about to say it's summer, but really it's just me. So I'm only gonna wear a gloss. And I pulled out my Lisa Eldridge gloss in Songbird. It's a little bit of a warmer pink, but I think it still works. Now I've got to talk about my fragrance. Y'all know. Can't finish out a new makeup video without talking about a new fragrance. This one was actually sent to me by Twisted Lily, but y'all, it's been on my wish list for ages. When I say ages, I mean ages. This is the Maison Crivelli, which I have another one in my collection, which I purchased from Twisted Lily, and this is the Patchouli Magnetic. I've talked about that before, but these are the 2 that I have in my collection now for Maison Crivelli, and this is Iris Malacan. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If you like Iris, which I absolutely adore Iris, just don't even think twice about it. You will like this fragrance. This has cypress, galbanum, orris butter, which is like the iris, mimosa absolute, vanilla, leather accord, amber, and musks. So this says, it is unlike any other scent. This stunning creation combines a verdant and dry iris with warm notes of vanilla and leather to form an ultra addictive duo. It is definitely a deeper iris, and I can smell that cypress and leather right off the bat, but it also has those powdery aspects that iris and orris bring to a fragrance. It is unlike any iris scent that I have, and I think it's because of those leather accords, but then as it dries down, the vanilla kind of makes it a little bit more smooth and a tad bit sweeter, but really the sweet and the powdery combine just to make it smooth and elegant, and oh my goodness. This to me does not have a season. I do have, fragrances that definitely I feel like work better in the fall and winter versus the spring and summer, or vice versa. This could definitely be a signature scent to me, meaning I could wear it all season long. Even in 100-degree weather, I have worn it and it doesn't get cloying on me because I think those leather and cypress kind of make it to where it's not overly sweet. I am going to be doing a signature scent video and I do believe this is going to be in it, y'all. This is so good. If you want something a little bit woodier, a little bit more intense, but not over the top, it still has the aspect of the powdery iris and orris in it, definitely check this out. So I will link that down in my description box along with everything else. As a final verdict, I do like the Makeup by Mario products. I was very, very, very impressed with how they wore. It didn't get any dewier throughout the day despite the heat, but it certainly did not look heavy or cakey or get into any fine lines. I think if you have dry skin, if you have mature skin, if you like luminous, this is something to check out, especially if you don't like a lot of coverage. If you have oily skin or want a foundation, skip it. The one thing I was not overly impressed with is this eyeshadow palette, which is really disappointing to me because while I like the look that I created, it's not like, oh wow, these formulas are amazing. I just feel like compared to the other Lorac formulas that I have used and loved in the past, it doesn't quite match up, in my opinion. But maybe if you like something that's, again, not super, super pigmented and is not gonna, you know, require pop extremely loud on the eyes, then it might be something you wanna look into. And I'll try to write something about the blush down below, but I really, 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 really like that color. So let me know if you have any questions. Again, I will list and link everything down in the description box. Thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure and like and subscribe before you leave so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I hope y'all all go out and have a very blessed day.